Hello, my name is Richard Cho, and this is my video submission for Native American music for Dr. Christina Giacona. I hope I said that correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. So I'll be talking about the paper I wrote today about the misappropriation of American Indian culture. So I guess I'll just start off by saying this paper actually conflicted me a little bit just because I've always known of like blackface and stuff like that. We've all learned. I mean, this generation of children, adults. It just, I guess I could label myself as a millennial. I mean, we're just technically woke. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the new word to say. I mean, we've all heard of blackface and how it has affected today's culture and how sensitive the issue is, especially with the Black Lives Matters and stuff like that. So, just one of the terms that we learned is blackface minstrelsy, which is practically what we know is as today, like doing blackface in general, like the performance back then for entertainment purposes. So, red face and blackface are pretty similar things, as you know, probably. But I feel like red face has never been taken to issue by the general public in many situations, I'd say. That's from my understanding, anyways. That's from my own point of view. Don't take that as a fact. But I think that the red face just genre, or the Western genre in general from cinema, we understood it from the foundations of that genre. I mean, who else could we actually blame besides the directors and the people who were part of it? I mean, I think there was just a cultural confusion in between the people that were directing and the people that were, I guess, part of the film industry back then. I mean, I understand that most of the, or not most, a lot of the Native American people actually were part of the film industry as well when it was very popular back then, before the Great Depression, of course. Back when it was like the Thomas Edison era, when they were still doing the silent films and such things as like that. I think throughout the process between filming and showing to the general audience, we all understood it in different parts. Like they said in the film, The Real Engine. I would like to say that they really put it together in a great way to view things, I say. So they started out as they're honor, or they're very honorable, they're very free spirited and stuff like that, which turned into suddenly savagery and entertainment purposes, just comedic in a sense. I would say I'm kind of conflicted because I never thought of it this way, actually, because I guess I would never watch older films. But like even today, I could think about like two or three films that made me think about this genre, or the genre of Western, and also the misappropriation of the American Indian culture. Like I forget what it was called. I think it was called uh I forget the film, but it was like it had Tonto with Johnny Depp as Tonto, or not Tonto. Johnny Depp was the Indian of the like wrong brother or something like that. I think you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, they always like make that character into the same Plains Indian, like they said in the film, The Real Engine. They always made it into the Plains Indian, where they wore the full headdress of the feathers and also just a war paint, I guess. But it really doesn't explain all the tribes and nations we know, right? So I think even till this day, there's this slight ignorance in between the film industry that they don't want to let go of this history back then. Because we all know the Western genre as being a classic in a sense. So even in just the media in general, or the songs that we know of, yeah, Uh, I was never typically a big like country music style person, if that makes sense. Like, because it, just to me in general, like the older country stuff, it seemed a little bit, not a little bit, some of it very apparent that they were racist. Like in the paper, I talked about the Tim McGraw Indian Reservation song, and it was like, oh, they're misappropriating the use of being an Indian and or Native American. I'm sorry, uh, to be a way of being free spirited and not caring too much. And they rather be on the field hunting buffalo or staying in teepees and stuff like that. It was very misappropriated by very many Indian, or not even Indian, white artists and even black artists. It seems like where they did the Tonto Jump On It song, where they wore the full, once again, the plain Indian attire. Uh, anyways, so there was this one part of the film that actually made me somewhat angry and very annoyed. It was the one where they went to the camp, or the narrator went to the camp full of the, I'm sorry to say this, but the white American like camp style where they do activities and stuff like that. But in this one, they uh, went into different tribes or groups, which each group had like a group leader where they had to, I guess, conquer other tribes and stuff like that. But completely aside from that note, it seemed like they really grew up on that culture of being of the American Indian being savages. So they would yell, they would stomp, they would create a racket, and just you could see some real hatred in their eyes sometimes. But anyways, they, even though it seemed like that they were all having fun, but from an outsider's perspective, or even a student in this class, they would be highly annoyed from the situation. I could see. I mean, first rule of being in a powwow is to be respectful, right? Be honorable, like always be susceptible to new things and to understand their culture. And I think it was another person I fit. They say you can't understand the powwow to be by not being inside the powwow. You have to be at the powwow to understand it. It just brought that into my head. But it seems like a lot of the information we have known today is so miscued, and it could be fixed by so much things. I mean, even nowadays, we always talk about, not always, but we see sometimes on ESPN, they talk about like the Washington Redskins, how their team name could be renamed to something else because it's highly offensive to the Native American people. And so it's crazy to think that this issue is still something going on today. I'm highly surprised that this is not a bigger issue than it is at the moment. But that's pretty much what I talked about in my paper. So thank you for listening. And I'm sorry if I stuttered at all. I have a high anxiety of like presenting myself like this.